So good, so good, so good.
Everything you want for summer is at Nordstrom Rack stores now and up to 60% off. Stock up and save on the brands you love like Vince, Sam Edelman, Frame, and Free People. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
You said this place was steps from the water.
We just haven't found the steps yet.
How much did we save?
Enough.
Enough to get lost?
Or you could book a stay with Hilton.
Welcome to your oceanfront room, just steps from the water.
The Hilton sale is on now. Book on Hilton.com or the Hilton app and save up to 20% to get the stay you expected. When you want savings, not surprises, it matters where you stay. Hilton, for the stay.
It's very hard for most of us, but especially people with ADHD, to read a book and apply those tools and strategies. They become aware of them, but it's putting them into practice. It's working on them every day. And I really believe that getting some outward help is really the best thing to help you deal with the challenges of ADHD. Even, a lot of people are afraid to get the diagnosis. You're the same person you were, even though you have the diagnosis. And, of course, at first there's some grief, there's depression a little bit, but then you're relieved. Now I have the answer to why I have these challenges, and now I can decide to do something about them.
Hey everyone, this is Jonathan Marks from GoToHealth. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We have another show today on ADHD. Why do I do these shows? Because up to 5% of the population has ADHD, and that's a very high percentage of the population when you compare it with other diseases or disorders. So I think it's an important topic to cover. Today's show is about ADHD coaching. If we want to succeed in life, it's usually good to get a coach or have some help or have some advice from other people. The same is true for those who have ADHD. ADHD coaches create a safe, non-judgmental environment and listen with an ADHD-based understanding. They observe what is preventing a client from reaching specific goals. They explore ways to maximize the client's strengths, talents, and passions, and utilize strategies and behaviors that match the client's specific learning, processing, and organizing styles. ADHD coaches help clients build on their successes. Once you start accomplishing things, your motivation kicks in. The more you do, the more you believe in yourself. And learning how to focus on your passions is a wonderful gift that can lead you to a life of fulfillment. With us to talk about this today is Judy Brennis. She's an ADHD coach with 15 years of experience, and she holds an AAC designation from the ADD Coach Academy. She's the author of ADHD Heroes and runs 2 monthly ADHD support groups via Zoom. One group for adults with ADHD and another for parents of children and young adults with ADHD. Judy helps adults and families understand how ADHD impacts daily life and how to move from feeling stuck and overwhelmed to living with clarity and confidence. If you want to learn more, you can go to ADHDcoachingjudy.com. That's Judy, ADHDcoachingjudy.com. And when you go there, you'll see that you can sign up for a free 30-minute coaching session. Before we get to Judy, just a reminder, if you like our show, GoToHealth, please give us a 5-star review or a thumbs up on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, or wherever you're listening to us. It helps us spread the word. Thanks in advance. So welcome to the show, Judy Brennis. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So tell us, Judy, how did you get into ADHD coaching? What's the story behind that?
Well, I was always interested in psychology. I was going to major in that or journalism. I did end up choosing journalism. But as I got older and raised my children, my oldest daughter was diagnosed with ADHD at age 5, went on to have multiple other diagnoses, but someone had mentioned to me about ADHD coaching, and I thought it sounded really interesting. I thought it would be something I could help her with. I'd learn more about it. I could help her, and at the same time, kind of start a new career.
Good. Thank you for that. And you mentioned she had a number of other diagnoses. Can you, just for everybody's interest who don't know about ADHD, ADHD usually doesn't come alone. It usually comes along with other conditions. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, we often say it travels with other comorbidities, oftentimes anxiety, depression. Um, in my daughter's case, she was adopted. Her birth mother did do some meth, and so I don't want to scare anybody. She ended up also being diagnosed with something called borderline personality disorder and then paranoid schizophrenia. But that is not normal. That is not, most people with ADHD don't go on to have those kinds of diagnoses. But her birth family had a lot of mental illness in the family. Her birth uncle had schizophrenia, and I'm sure the meth played a big part in a lot of her difficulties and challenges.
So thanks so much for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. So Judy, tell us what exactly is ADHD coaching and how is it different from therapy or counseling?
Okay, so coaching works on the day-to-day challenges that people with ADHD often have, such as time management, organization, procrastination, follow through. Coaching bridges the gap between intention and action, whereas therapy focuses more on emotion, processing the past, those kinds of things, where coaching is, it bridges the gap between intention and action. We work mostly on the day-to-day challenges, and we take the actual challenges that someone is having each day and builds tools and strategies to minimize those challenges.
And how often does someone participate in a coaching session with you? Is this once a week, multiple times a week?
I usually encourage once a week to get started because there's also the motivational piece, there's the accountability piece. As time goes on, I have clients that have really learned a lot. They're feeling pretty confident. So then we go to every other week. I have some clients I've been working with for years. It's maybe once every 3 weeks. And with younger high school students, college students, it may be 30 minutes. Normally it's an hour, but with the attention difficulties, focus, and financial, if someone can't afford the full hour, then, we can do 30 minutes as long as whatever will help them move along and make some progress.
Got it. It sounds like you're very flexible in working with your clients.
Yes, very much.
And what age range do you work with? I mean, what are your youngest clients and what are your oldest clients?
I used to work with younger people a little bit. Junior high was about the youngest I worked with. There are coaching programs where you work with the families. I went through a program that was more directed towards adults. If it were to be younger children, you're working with the parents as well because it's really them helping set up the home life, the schedules, learning how to direct their students, their children. It's hard enough for adults to make changes, let alone when you're very young. So you do need the guidance of a parent. Most of my clients are college age and above. I have worked with 70-year-olds. So it kind of ranges, I'd say, from 20 to 70.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, what are some of the most common challenges that people with ADHD bring to coaching? What do you see?
So the number one I would say is procrastination, but also scheduling. It's pretty common when I talk to a new client, do you have any kind of calendar? Do you have any kind of planner? And it's kind of, they're kind of laugh. It's like, well, I have a million, but
Yeah,
I've
right.
only used each one for a couple days. Um,
Right.
so that's the biggest thing I try to help. It doesn't have to be a certain kind of planner, but it's trying to look at what do I have coming up, whether it's a doctor's appointment, whether it's a work deadline, trying to look a little bit ahead into the future. And most important, looking at the next day. what are my priorities for the day? So that's another one we talk about, priorities. People with ADHD often see everything as big fires that they have to put out. And so it's learning how to figure out what are the most important ones, what are the ones that have deadlines, what can I put off a little bit till next week. And then the procrastination piece is the big thing, learning how to breaking down tasks so that a lot of times we look at something as, oh my God, this is overwhelming. There is just so much involved. So if we just, what is the first step? Okay, the first step may be making a phone call, getting more information about what I do have to do. One of the things that I recently heard from somebody was he just tells himself, sit down and open my laptop. That's all I have to do right now, open my laptop. What I tell people sometimes is set an alarm for 15 minutes. Most of us can do, we can do whatever the hard thing is for at least 15 minutes. And then by giving ourselves that permission to, at 15 minutes, do we want to continue? 95% of the time, you're going to continue. It's that getting started. So that's one of the big things I work with with my clients. Time management is another really big one. People with ADD often underestimate, oh, this will only take me a few minutes, or, oh my God, this will take me hours. So we look at really, sometimes I tell them to time things they do, even like morning routines or something we look at. They have no clue how long it really takes them from the time they get up to shower, have breakfast, whatever it is they want to do in the morning. So they find it interesting to actually time it. How long does it take you to take a shower? Does it take 5 minutes or 30 minutes? There's something called a time timer that some of my clients have found helpful. You can get them online. It's kind of a red timer thing where you can actually see time passing, because nowadays it's all digital and we don't get that sense of what does an hour feel like. I have grandchildren, little grandchildren, and it's, well, how long is it going to take? When's mommy going to be home? 30 minutes. They don't really, well, what is that 30 minutes? So if you compare it to, well, that is about how long it takes for you to eat dinner or whatever it is, they begin to visualize get a sense of what that 30 minutes is. And people with ADHD, we have to do the same thing.
Wow, that's really amazing. Thanks for that detail. Let me tell people where they can go to learn more. And when you go there, because I visited your website, it's a very nice website, you can get a free 30-minute coaching session with Judy when you go there and sign up. So where you go, if you want to learn more about this, is ADHD Coaching Judy. That's Judy, ADHDcoachingjudy.com. So go there, you can get a free 30-minute coaching session. And as you can hear, Judy's got quite a bit of experience in working with ADHD and other comorbidities. So tell me, Judy, how do you help clients discover and build on their strengths and not just focus on their struggles? Because there are plenty of struggles when you have ADHD. How do you help people build on their strengths?
Right. Well, we talk about what they're interested in. The most successful people with ADHD have found a career that they enjoy. People with ADHD, they say, should work where in a job, a career where 80% of their time is spent on their strengths, only 20% on the weaknesses. Sometimes people will, this is the advantage of working with someone younger who has not yet decided what they want to do, because sometimes they'll pick something and it ends up where there's going to be a lot of paperwork. And that's just not going to be the best thing for them. My son-in-law has ADHD and he's a firefighter. So that's a great profession for someone with ADHD. He's moving all over the place. There is a lot of flexibility and spontaneity. You never know exactly what your day is going to look like.
Yes.
So someone with ADHD may not want to pick something where they're going to be sitting at a desk for a long time. Of course, it also makes a difference on how severe their ADHD is. Someone may have ADD and it's I like to say, like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's only a 3. So they have some minor challenges, but they can overcome them, they can deal with them. So it's a lot of times looking at what are you interested in? What are you passionate about? Now, the person that, let's say, is doing something that they're not passionate about, but they're in this career and it's too late to kind of change at that point. It's exercise can help a lot. So we look at what do they enjoy doing. If they enjoy bike riding, maybe you can ride to work. And that gets the adrenaline going, it gets the neurotransmitters firing. Also acknowledging a lot of people, like you said, with ADD focus on their challenges. And they really need reminders. What am I good at? A lot of people with ADD are very creative, and they've kind of put art or music or whatever they enjoy doing. They tell themselves, I'm not allowed to do that until I get the hard things done.
Mm-hmm.
And we all need to do what we enjoy to have time to play. The creative part is what will help them then deal with some of their challenges. So it's really important. I ask certain questions. Right now, I have a client that has just really gotten into pickleball. And so, that's great. He takes a break during his day, he does some pickleball, and then he can go back to doing his job that at this point in his life may not be as exciting as it used to be. But really looking at what we all have strengths. One of the things I had to do when I was in the ADHD coaching program was create it was called a rainbow list. And it sounds like something a child would do, but as an adult, it can be very helpful. Going back and looking at what are we good at? It's really sad sometimes when I ask somebody, well, what are you good at? And they go, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. And so really exploring that with them. Kind of it's not exactly an answer to that, but along with that, that can be very helpful is looking at the negative thoughts. Because of all the challenges, they do tend to have a lot of negative thoughts. I'm lazy, I'm stupid, whatever it happens to be.
They're also told that as well.
Yeah, yes, very much. And so learning how to I tell my clients when you hear those thoughts, when you hear yourself tell those thoughts, a little alarm should go off to say, what is a positive thought I can tell about myself? Those negative thoughts, beating yourself up, is not going to help you move forward. There's been a lot of research out there, a lot of studies. And when we pile on the negative thoughts, when we feel guilty for the things we haven't done, it really holds us back rather than saying, okay, I missed that appointment. What can I do next time so maybe I don't miss it? Can I put an alarm in my phone? Can I try to start that planner? So that they build on more positive thoughts.
Great. And just to be clear, Judy, you see people virtually, correct? Or do you see them in person as well?
I used to see most of my clients in person. It is mostly online. If it happens to be someone local, I'm more than happy. I used to meet my clients in coffee places. I've done walks with clients. I've met clients at parks. Unfortunately, I mean, obviously, online you can then meet with anybody. They don't have to live nearby.
Right.
So I'd say 90% of the time it is virtual.
Yes. And you live in the Santa Cruz area, Santa Cruz, California?
No, now I live in Pismo Beach area.
Pismo Beach. Okay. So let me ask that question again. So you live now where, Judy? If people want to see you locally?
Pismo Beach, San Luis Obispo area.
Okay, great. Good. So again, people can go to ADHDcoachingjudy.com, ADHDcoachingjudy.com, and you can enjoy a free 30-minute coaching session with her when you visit. And as she just mentioned, she does a lot of her coaching online. So Judy, what practical strategies can listeners try right now if they suspect that ADHD is impacting their daily lives? Do you have some suggestions for us?
Well, first of all, you take one challenge. It's when we create a lot of like New Year's resolutions, we don't follow through because we have 10 of them written down.
Right.
So if you have, even if it's, there's three big challenges, just take one, you take it step by step. One of the things is the big, so we talked a little bit about procrastination, but I would say that when you have something you want to get done, you don't just say, oh yeah, I got to do that tomorrow. You say, what time it would be the best time for me to do it?
Mhm.
Along with that, one of the very important things is to figure out when you have the most mental energy. So some people are morning people, some people work better late in the afternoon. So you assign yourself the task if it is going to be difficult and involve a lot of mental energy, but put that down 10 a.m. I am going to work on whatever it is. And the more specific you can be, so it's not just saying, I'm going to write that email.
Mhm.
What is the main point of the email? So you jot that down. It makes it easier to get started the next day. Another important thing is to set an alarm. How are you going to remember? If you're not in the habit of looking at a schedule, looking at a planner, how are you going to remember that at 10 a.m. that's what you're going to do? I had already mentioned about breaking down tasks. Some of the things is using a whiteboard, sticky notes, apps like the Todoist. There's one called Trello. The important thing about to-do lists is to keep them short. My clients often say, oh yeah, I have a to-do list. There's 100 things on it.
Yes.
You want to have that daily to-do list. I usually suggest 2 to 3 things that you're going to do. And even if they're small, even if it's, when I say even, a phone call may be overwhelming. It may not take long. But if you do those 3 things and you're like revving up and ready to go, you can always add another one. But the problem that a lot of people with ADHD, there's so much on their to-do list, no matter how much they do at the end of the day, they feel like, well, but I didn't get all of these other things done. Reminding yourself, I encourage my clients at the end of the day to go over in their heads or write it down, even what did they do?
Yeah,
What
what'd you
did
get
they
done? Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Um,
Celebrate your successes.
exactly. And trying the follow through, I know, is hard. So if you say you're going to go to the gym and all of a sudden you get in the car and you go, man, my car's dirty. I got to go wash my car. No, that's my ADD pulling me off course. My intention was going to the gym.
Mhm.
So try to it, and of course it takes practice, but is once you do it, you know you can do it. So yeah, you may not do it every day in a row. That's okay. You just, don't throw it all out the window and say, see, I went to the gym Monday, I didn't go Tuesday, I'll never be able to do this.
Mhm.
It's like I did it Monday, so let's try for Wednesday. Um, so practical steps, practicing those steps, trying to focus on, like I said, just a couple things that you want to begin to work on.
How do you deal with people's frustrations with themselves? I mean, what part of coaching is included there when people are really frustrated with themselves? How do you help them?
I try to point out that we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all have challenges. The thing that a lot of people with ADD don't have a hard time recognizing these challenges have to do with their ADD. I have clients that say, well, I have trouble with procrastination. Do you think that has to do with my ADD or is that just me? No, that's your ADD. It's sometimes I use the example that if someone has something wrong with their leg and they can't walk super fast, they're not going to beat themselves up every day because they can't speed walk down the street. They know that they have to walk slowly. There is something wrong with their leg.
Hmm.
Well, when we have ADHD, we are going to have challenges with overwhelm and procrastination and time management. That has to do with your ADHD. So the important thing is to learn the tools and strategies. And that's the biggest thing. A lot of people feel, I need to do this myself. My daughter was huge on this. No, I've got to do this on my own. No, you don't. The more help you have. I spoke before I ever became an ADHD coach. I met with one of my daughter's teachers who had a PhD in chemistry. And I knew he had told the class he had ADHD. And so I went to talk to him and I said, well, how did you get a doctorate in chemistry with ADHD? He said, I had a team. I had professors I worked with. I had a friend that knocked on my door every morning to get me out of bed to go to class.
Mm-hmm.
I had friends that told me when a test was coming up. We all studied together. I also interviewed for my book a young man who worked in the disability office of his college, and all his friends had ADD. And the ones that sought help in whatever way they needed it were the ones that went on to be successful. Those that said, no, 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 I need to do this all on my own, they're going to flounder for for all of their life, probably.
You just mentioned your book. I'm glad you brought that up. It's called ADHD Heroes. Tell us what the book is about.
I interviewed, I think it was 2022, it's been a while now, people that have ADHD and they are very successful. When I say successful, that doesn't mean that you're a CEO of some big company. You can be. I interviewed a man he had been a finance director at LA. Never could pay his own bills on time, he said. But then there were musicians who, that's what they wanted to do. That was their strength, and they were successful at it. So I interviewed all these different people and put it together in a book so that people could see that having ADHD doesn't limit your potential.
Good. Thank you for sharing that with us. So, Judy, tell us, what is one ADHD myth that you wish everyone would stop believing? I know there are a lot out there, but what's the one you wish people would stop believing?
Well, if I could do two, the first one is that, well, the topic of medication. Some people feel that medication is going to solve everything. A lot of parents, unfortunately, feel that if their child is on medication, everything's going to be fine. Their ADHD is going to go away. We always say it's pills and skills. The medication doesn't teach you what to focus on. I had a client who was a journalist. Her office was in the back of behind her house. She would take her medication, but she found if she took it while she was in the kitchen, she'd start cleaning the kitchen. So she had to wait until she got into her office to take her medication. So the medication is not going to help you choose what to focus on. It's going to help you focus. So it's taking the medication, learning tools and strategies. I'm not saying everybody needs medication, and that's the other myth. When people are afraid to take medication or feel that they're going to become addicted, we're wearing glasses. We're addicted to our glasses because they help us see. So, in fact, a very important thing that for a lot of parents, I would encourage them to look at medication actually in preventing their child from becoming addicted to drugs, alcohol, caffeine, what you are going the ADHD person is going to find another way to medicate themselves. And so by taking medication, it's going to help. And add or even the stimulant, and there's lots of kinds of medication now. But the stimulants, when someone has ADD, they're not going to give them a high. They're going to help them focus. So that's one of the myths. The other one is really for girls and women. Oftentimes, parents, schools, they think about ADHD as the boys that misbehave, that are running all over the place. They look at their daughters and go, oh, they can't have ADHD. Look how quiet they are. They're sitting in class. The teacher never has a problem. A lot of girls have the more dreamy type. We used to say ADD versus ADHD. Now, it ADHD can also be their brains are hyperactive.
Yeah.
Their brains are going, they're not necessarily misbehaving. My daughter, she was very active as a very young child. And then it was more like looking out the window at school, not paying attention. The teacher's not going to pick up on that. But then she didn't know that she had a test the next day because she wasn't paying attention. The other thing to be careful about is girls and women are often diagnosed with anxiety and depression. And that may go along because they weren't diagnosed with ADHD. But, there's certain things to look for, the organizational piece, the procrastination. Oh, my daughter gets straight A's. Yeah, but she stays up till, 4 a.m. the night before a paper is due.
Right.
So really for girls and women, it's very important to invest. A lot of therapists sometimes, even especially women that are successful. Oh, you can't have ADD. You're a lawyer. That's not they may very well have ADHD and they're masking it well. They've learned how to get the work done, but it's at a cost.
Yes.
So those are the two biggest myths I would like to dispel.
Good. Thank you. So, Judy, we get to this point of the interview where I ask, what question didn't I ask that I should have asked? Or what big message would you like to leave with people today before we end?
I think the biggest one, like I had mentioned a little bit before, is that there's no shame in seeking help, whether it's therapy, coaching. I'd say self-help, but I was just listening to a podcast and this guy went to Harvard and yet in his 30s, he was broke and all this. He said he read every self-help book in the world. It's very hard for most of us, but especially people with ADHD, to read a book and apply those tools and strategies. They become aware of them, but it's putting them into practice. It's working on them every day. And I really believe that getting some outward help is really the best thing to help you deal with the challenges of ADHD. Even, a lot of people are afraid to get the diagnosis. You're the same person you were, even though you have the diagnosis. And, of course, at first there's some grief, there's depression a little bit, but then you're relieved. Now I have the answer to why I have these challenges, and now I can decide to do something about them.
Right. Judy, it's been so good being with today. I'm so glad you're sharing this information about ADHD, but also about how you can help with ADHD coaching. It's been great having you here.
Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed speaking with you.
Good. So we've been talking with Judy Brennis. She is an ADHD coach. Her website is ADHDcoachingjudy.com. And when you go there, you can get a free 30-minute coaching session. Judy has been an ADHD coach with 15 years of experience. She holds an AAC designation from the ADD Coach Academy. She's the author of ADHD Heroes, as we talked about, and she runs 2 monthly ADHD support groups via Zoom, one group for adults with ADHD and another for parents of children and young adults with ADHD. She helps adults and families understand how ADHD impacts life and how to move from feeling stuck and overwhelmed to living with clarity and confidence. So good to have you with us again, Judy. Appreciate your being here. This has been Jonathan Marks with GoToHealth. And remember, as we say at the end of every show, go to health. Take care. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in today to Go to Health. You are one of almost 10,000 people per day who enjoy the evidence-based health information offered by our guest health experts. You can watch us on our website and YouTube and listen to us on 8 podcast networks. Be sure to join Jonathan Marks in our upcoming shows each week. If you like our show, please share this episode with your friends and colleagues. You can subscribe to the show. Join our email list, send us feedback, browse through the online store, and view our library of over 150 shows at GoToHealthMedia.com. See you next time, and remember to elevate your life with GoToHealth.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Did you know if your windows are bare, indoor temperatures can go up 20 degrees? Get ahead of summer with custom window treatments like solar roller shades from Blinds.com and save up to 45% during the Memorial Day Early Access Sale. Whether you want to DIY it or have a pro handle everything, we've got you. Free samples, real design experts, and zero pressure. Just help when you need it. Shop up to 45% off site-wide right now during the Early Access Memorial Day Sale at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.